Right, it's time for my UFC picks. Interesting card, this one. I know and have spoken to online quite a lot of the people on this card. I've also seen quite a lot of people in action on this card at UFC UFC 85. They've used quite a lot of the same people. To begin with, I'll tell you I'm not interested at all in the Pete Sell versus Matt Brown match. I would rather Matt Brown win, but I don't really know enough about them to make a prediction. Pete Sell is not somebody I support due to his affiliation really with Matt Serra. Let's begin. At the bottom of the card, working up, Aaron Riley versus Shane Nelson. Nelson a tougher 11-4. All his wins, at least 7 of them, come by decision, so he's never been finished, but he doesn't have much of a record. Aaron Riley, on the other hand, is 27-10 with 13 submission wins. He loses by TKO, but he's beaten the likes of George Gergel, and his losses come to people like Spencer Fisher, Robbie Lawler and Yves Edwards twice. He's been fighting for a very long time. I'm going to go for him by submission, a choke in the first. I'm not particularly a fan of Shane Nelson, so I won't cry if that happens, I promise. Brandon Vera versus Michael Pat. It's very unfortunate to see Brandon Vera so low on the card, has to be said. But his record at the moment is win, loss, loss, win, loss, which is dangerous with the current climate in the UFC. He's 9-3. I always chuckle at his record. I always expect it to be more than that. His main wins come by TKO. He's won over the likes of Mia, but he's lost to the likes of Jardine, Verdum and Sylvia. He has, interestingly enough, never been submitted, and his opponent, Michael Pat, who is 12-3, has 9 submission wins. That's his biggest sort of thing. He's not got much record, and he's lost to Tim Bouts, who's also on the card. I'm going to go for Brandon Vera by TKO in the second there. Tim Bouts versus Jason Brills. Now, Bouts is 8-2. He's got 5 wins by TKO plus 3 wins by submission. But his record is win, lose, win, lose, win. He also has never been submitted, which is interesting because Jason Brills, who is 16-1, and does have 5 TKO wins, mostly has 9 submission wins. He's also fought and beaten the likes of Jason McDonald, who is a name. He's on a 9-fight win streak. This one's quite a difficult one for me, but I'm going to go for Jason Brills by decision on that. Kendall Grove, her 9-5, 6 submission wins is his majority, but he's lost by TKO 4 times. He hasn't, interestingly, fought since beating the late Evan Tanner. Jason Day, who I saw fight in UFC 85, 17-7 with 8 TKO wins and 8 submission wins, so he's quite good, is he? His losses usually come by submission, and he has lost to the likes of Patrick Cote and Michael Bisping. I'm going to go out and say that Kendall Grove and his 6 submissions aren't really going to be much of a match for Jason Day with his 8 submissions plus 8 TKO wins, even though he usually loses by submission. I'm going to say that with 8 submission wins he must have at least a partial submission defence. So I'm going to go for Jason Day winning by TKO in the second. Tamden McCrory and Ryan Madigan. Madigan is 5-0 and he's making his UFC debut. He's got wins that are divided into 3 TKOs plus 2 submissions, but he doesn't have any names on his record. Tamden McCrory I do like, it has to be said. 10-2 is his record. He usually wins by TKO. He's lost always by submission. His wins are over people like Luke Cumo and Pete Spratt. His losses are to the likes of Akihiro Gono and Dustin Hazlett. I'm going to go for Tamden McCrory by TKO in the second. So I believe that will be Ryan Madigan's first loss, and it will be a finish. Gray Maynard, 6-0. His wins at the moment, the biggest wins are over Rich Clemente, Dennis Siver and Frankie Edgar, but all of them have been by decision. He's going to need a lot more than that if he's facing Jim Miller, who is 13-1. He's never been finished, and he has 9 submission wins on his record. He has beaten the likes of Matt Wiman, Bart Paziewski, Anthony Morrison, Al Buck and Frankie Edgar. I hate to say it, but I think Gray Maynard has bitten off more than he can chew here. I'm going to go for a submission by Barr in the 3rd. I think Gray might put up a little bit of a fight because of his strength, but I think Miller will prevail there. Matt Hamill versus Mark Munoz. This could be a fight of the night because they're very, very even. Matt Hamill is 5-2. His wins are by TKO. Mark Munoz is 5-0 and his wins are also usually by TKO. So it's going to be quite a good match because they're both standing on their feet. Hamill's record, win, lose, win, lose, win, is a little bit disconcerting in this climate. I'm going to go for Hamill by decision win. I think it will go all the way to decision. I think it could be quite exciting. That looks like it could be a 3-round stand-up war there. Coming up to the main events now, Gabriel Gonzaga versus Shane Carwin. Gonzaga I saw fight in UFC 70 where he sort of did a big upset over Krokop. He's got a record of 10-3, slightly more submission wins actually than TKO, 4 TKO wins, 6 submission wins, but he himself has never been submitted. Now Shane Carwin, who has a perfect record of 10, he's got 5 TKO wins and 5 submission wins, so he's not, you see, if Gabriel Gonzaga were to take him down and try and submit him, I think that with 5 submission wins he should have sort of defence for that. His wins come over people like Christian Wellish and Sherman Pendergast, so he does have names on his record. This is a very, very tough one to call indeed. I'm going to go for TKO in the 2nd. I'm going to say that Shane Carwin will beat Gabriel Gonzaga, but I could see Gonzaga winning on the ground. I could also see him sort of pulling off another magical win like he did over Krokop. It just really depends on how the night goes. The main event is Quinton Jackson versus Keith Jardine. I'm supporting Jackson on this. I'm going to go for TKO in the 3rd. He is out of Wolfslayer in Liverpool. I guess he's not going to be at Cage Gladiators, who are doing a performance that same night, since he's on the card in UFC over the other side of the world. So that's my prediction, and those are my full predictions for the event. There we are.